Hey friends, Peter here. I wanted to take a few minutes and share with you some of the recent additions that I've made to my retro library. I'm happy to announce that I broke through the 1,000 game benchmark earlier this week. I'm not going to share everything with you as the video would take way too long, but I want to run through as many as I possibly can. For reference, my retro library includes everything from the regular NES all the way up to the PlayStation 2. I picked up 4 NES games. I'm going to run through them quickly here. The pricing that you see is not what I paid. The first one is Fester's Quest. I've heard all the bad things. It is now time for me to find out for myself how bad the game really is. Solstice, which is this guy right here. I've never played it. It's one of the few NES games that I've never played. I've heard good things about it, but never played it. Wrath of the Black Manta, which is this guy right here. This game I actually saw on Retrospective Perspective channel that was one of my inspirations into getting me started with my own channel here. Unfortunately, Half-Bit isn't doing videos at the present time, but the video that he did on Wrath of the Black Manta was hilarious and enough to actually want me to, or make me go and get the game, so that was kind of cool. And last but not least, I don't know why I bought this, but I did. Worm, Journey to the Center of the Earth. I don't know what I'm in for here. Hopefully it's not going to be terrible. We'll see. Okay. Next are some GameCube games. I finally am building up the GameCube library just a little bit. As you can see on the GX TV behind me, I finally gave in and got a copy of F-Zero GX. And the game is already kicking my butt. I played for a little while last night and didn't do very well, so obviously I have a lot of practicing to do. But the game is still absolutely gorgeous, holds up very well, especially on a CRT TV like the GX is, and sounds great too. I did wind up paying a little bit for this, but the game does go for $16 on price tracking, so really not a surprise that the game is a little on the pricey side. Next up, and don't laugh at me, I'm a big Sonic Adventure fan, so I know that this isn't the better version. Obviously the Dreamcast original is, but whatever. Sonic Adventure DX, the Director's Cut for GameCube. I'm sorry, I'm a big Sonic Adventure fan, what can I say? Next is WarioWare Mega Party Games. I know that it's basically the GBA game, but that's okay. I actually like the way that the game is set up. I like playing all of the 5-second games. It's perfect for my ADD. I absolutely love it. And the last thing that I'll show that I got was 1080 Avalanche, which actually comes with a bonus disc, which you can see down the bottom there. I have the instructions, just not here with me. I was reading them before I went on air. So those are the GameCube games, and it's nice that I'm starting to build up that part of my library just a little bit, as I've been kind of lagging behind on that as of late. There are still some games I'm looking for that I'm hoping not to pay a ton for. Most notably, Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes, just to kind of complete my Metal Gear collection, but that's just one. Super Mario Sunshine is also a game that took me by surprise. That game is in huge demand. I saw that for $30 at a couple of various locations over the past couple of weeks. So obviously, that game's value has been increasing pretty quickly behind the scenes. So those are the non-PS2 games that I've added. If you watched my last episode or my most recent episode, which I'm also putting up today, you'll note that I got a copy of Mr. Do for the SNES. I got that, as well as, and I didn't take it out to show, but I also got a copy of Red Card 2003 for the PS2 as well, from Amazon, and both of those work and are in great shape. The Mr. Do for Super Nintendo, as I mentioned in the episode video, runs a little haggardly at times. It doesn't necessarily ruin the arcade feel of the game, but it's definitely something that you'll notice when you play. So if you do pay the $18 to $20, which is what the general rate for the game is, just be aware that while it is arcade perfect at its core, there are some performance issues that you may notice. Okay, so let's move on to the PS2 stuff. The stuff I'm going to show you is all, excuse me, it's all in case. And I did test all of these to make sure that they worked, so I don't have to worry about that. Astro Boy the video game, I played this a little bit yesterday. Gonna take some getting used to. I like the general idea. I don't think it's as bad as some of the reviews made it out to be, but it's certainly not an award-winning game by any stretch. ATV Off-Road Fury 2 doesn't run as smoothly as the first game does, but the soundtrack is pretty good, and of course it's an ATV racing game from Rainbow Studios. That's who I thought it was. And it's also pretty good, and it's stupid cheap to get, too. You can get all 4 games in the series for the PS2 for, I believe, less than $10 now. And if you like racing games, it's certainly a nice little alternative title. Oh boy, nose is running here. Sorry, guys. Cold Fears next. I think I saw this on Game Informer Replay, which is why it kind of stood out to me. It looks like it's a survival horror game of sorts. I only played it for a few moments just to make sure that it worked, so I have no comments on this. Okay, I don't know what I got myself into here. This is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. I don't understand at all what is going on in the Dragon Ball Z universe. I have never, ever seen any of the anime that the games are based on, but the games were cheap. This was originally $20 up here. I got this at GameStop with their 75% off deal, and the disc is in pristine shape. The manual's in there. It's basically complete in box, and I wound up getting it for like $4.50. So it was tough to say no to that. What else we got going on here? We have, for $5, I got Fatal Fury Battle Archives 1. I got into the Fatal Fury and King of Fighter games for a rather dumb reason. It was because of Spoonie's video on the really bad King of Fighters movie. I'm like, oh, these characters are pretty hilarious. And then with Terry Bogard's really silly nonsense sayings like okay and all that other stuff. If you've heard the Terry Bogard soundbite, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that got me into thinking, well, maybe I should try out some of these King of Fighters and Fatal Fury games. And you know what? They're not bad. I still have a lot of work to do to learn the controls, though. Next up, and I already have the HD remakes for the PS2, but hey, the God of War and God of War 2 games, both complete in box. I got those collectively for $5. So that's a pretty good deal. God of War, of course, was one of the first games that, or one of the games that I actually had to play on a timer because I was writing multiple reviews for multiple websites, so I had to play through the game in 24 hours and get reviews done. Fun time of my life, I'll tell you. Next up, I don't know what I was thinking. Hot Wheels Velocity X Maximum Justice. You can skip this. This is not very good. Trust me, it's not very good. Next up, I have 3 of the MLB games from 989 Studios, the last 3 that they made. 2004, 2005, and 2006. These are the games that gradually led to MLB 06 The Show, which is the beginning of the show series as we know it today. The neat things about these games is that Vin Scully does the commentary for all 3, and the commentary team actually starts to shift. In 04, it's just Vin Scully and Dave Campbell. Then in 05, it's Vin Scully, Dave Campbell, and then Matt Vasgersian gets introduced for the first time. And then in 06, you have the commentary team as you knew it with Vasgersian and Campbell. And then in 06, the show, I believe they added Rex Hudler. So the games did get incrementally better as the years went on before the show came into effect. And if you actually play MLB 2006, you'll actually see that that transformation really close to taking place, as a lot of the presentation elements are in place for that game, so that when the show came around, it was almost like a director's cut version, what 989 or Sony San Diego was going for, and that was pretty neat. I am ducking in and out of the shot a lot. I'm sorry, I just can't hold on to all these games at once. Monster House. This is pretty interesting, actually. This is like a exploration / third-person shooter / action game. I never saw the movie that this was based on, but it's kind of a cool game. Scares for kids, and although I'm not a kid, it does. It's more appealing to someone who's not the biggest horror fan, and I'm certainly one of those people. So I kind of like this, and I got this for really cheap. All right, the rest of these I can hold on to, so I can stop ducking on the shot on you guys. NFL Street 2, awesome. I don't know why they don't make these games anymore. I like the first one. I really like the second one. Really, really, really like the second one. I had actually never played it before yesterday, and now I'm kicking myself because this game was great. Next is Ninja Assault, which is from Namco. This is a GunCon 2 game. You can play it with your controller. It's a light gun game. I'm a sucker for those, so that's why I got it. Next, and those of you who know me know that this is going to be no surprise, Pinball Hall of Fame, the Williams Collection for PS2. I now have this version, the PS3 version, and the Xbox 360 version. So to say that I have a little bit of a pinball addiction is probably really, really understating the fact. Pinball games and I are best friends, have been for many, many years. I have spent a ton of time in quite a lot of money on pinball simulations / video games, and this is really the best of the lot, at least in my opinion. I know that Pinball Arcade is basically a director's cut version of a lot of these tables, but I still like the original setup that this was put on, or that this was kind of created on. The virtual arcade, running through the virtual arcade and hearing all of the ambient sounds of other arcade games in the background really added to the atmosphere. And I thought that the physics were just right. They weren't quite as punishingly real as the Pinball Arcade versions are, and that, I think, is a big plus. This was $2. I probably should not have spent the $2 on this. This is Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. I have no idea what the hell is going on here. I tried to play it for 15 minutes yesterday and was lost already. So this game will probably just be sitting in my library unplayed. And then last but not least for the boxed games is Test Drive Eve of Destruction. This actually is not bad. I think I actually had better time with this now than I did when I originally had the game back when it came out in 2004, which, believe it or not, is now 20 years ago. Actually, yeah, not 20 years ago, 10 years ago. I can't do math. So this game is 10 years old now, and the frame rate runs pretty well. The soundtrack is right up my alley. It's that rock / new metal that I really enjoy, and I just have fun running into other cars. It's not quite as good as Destruction Derby or Destruction Derby 2, but it will do in a pinch. So those are the boxed games that I got. There were a couple of games that I got that were boxed that didn't work, which is unfortunate. Mobile Light Force 2 I got, doesn't work. Rumble Racing I got, unfortunately that doesn't work. That stings a bit. I was hoping to be able to play that. And then NBA Jam for the PS2 I also got, and that doesn't work, and that is just too bad. Okay, these will be a lot better, and I won't have to duck off camera. These are all loose games, and I'll start at the bottom here. Test Drive, which is this guy right here. Woo, there it is. Have not tested this yet, so I don't know if it works. As a matter of fact, looking at the front of the disc, I can probably tell you that it won't work because there is top label damage, so I'll have to return this. So I won't even comment on it because it's a waste of time. Reservoir Dogs. Have not played this yet. Never saw the movie, but it was like less than $1, so why not? Let's see what else we got. I know we're at the 13-minute mark. I'm moving. Another Dragon Ball Z game, Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi, which I actually found to be a little bit easier to play than Budokai 3, at least for a newbie like myself. Really cool concept. I love the over-the-top fighting style. I'm sure I'd probably like the anime if I watched it. But yeah, that's that I got for really cheap too. Mercenaries II. You can probably skip this if you're thinking about getting it on any other system but the 360 or PS3 because it runs like dog turd on the PS2. Sorry, had to be said. Pick this game up if you see it. This is Speed Racer, the video game. This actually is not bad. It's a racing game with combat built in. Car Fu, they call it, which is kind of silly as a term. But the game just works well. It's very stylistic. The frame rate's pretty good, and the action's pretty good. So I do recommend it, especially for the $1.18 that you can get at GameStop right now if you find it loose. Next is TNA Impact, which looks pretty good on the PS2 and runs pretty well as well. The controls are something that I'm coming to grips with. It's not the fastest wrestling game around. Certainly feels slower than the SmackDown games did. But for some wrestling fans, that might be up their alley, is wrestling isn't always about fast-paced action because the wrestlers will get tired. It needs to be strung out a little bit more pronounced, and I think that the game does that well. Trivial Pursuit, the first Trivial Pursuit game is this guy right here, Not Unhinged. This game is not bad, although the one problem I have with it is that the announcer yells at you incessantly. Whether you get questions right, whether you get questions wrong, no matter what you roll on the dice, he always says something snarky to say to you. In my mind, it reminds me a lot of DJ Stryker from Burnout 3, the guy that everyone wanted to turn off. It's the same kind of thing in this game, so if you can turn off the announcer guy, do it. It will make your experience much, much more enjoyable. This is XGRA, which is the Extreme G Racing Association game. I'm not a big fan of this. I thought I would be, but I guess it's XGRA 2 that is better. At least that's what some folks on my Twitter feed have been telling me, so that's the one I'll have to chase down. But I got it for just $1, so it wasn't too bad. Top Spin for the PS2 is not good, unfortunately. It's not that it's not playable, but if you played the Xbox original, it just pales in comparison, and it makes sense because the Xbox was the more powerful of the two machines, and the PS2 simply can't keep up. But I got that for like 67 cents, so I can't complain. This right here is The Suffering, The Ties That Bind, which is the sequel to The Suffering, obviously. This game is pretty cool. I like the style, like that horror feel. There's a lot of action that goes on. I only played this for like 5 or 10 minutes, but I'll definitely play this more. This is pretty neat. The one thing I'll notice, notice, I should say, let me get my words right, that I did notice about this game versus the original is that the frame rate does suffer a bit more in The Ties That Bind than the original game. So it's just something to keep in mind. Next up, and I paid like $2.50 for this, is Suikoden 4, which is that guy right here. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this series, but whenever you see an RPG, even if it's loose, that's really cheap, it's something to just put in your collection and store away for a better time to play it if you're looking for something unusual to play or something that's, or just an RPG to pick up in general. I know that this is, from what I've read anyway, is the worst of the series, but I'm willing to give it a go for the cheap price that I paid for it. Why not? Can't hurt. Narc for the PS2, based on the arcade game from Midway. It's kind of over the top and silly, and there's a lot of action that goes on, but I think that's one of the reasons why I like the game, because it doesn't take itself seriously, and it's an action fest, and those kind of games appeal to me as an arcade rat. Granted, the story's kind of cool if there's a story that goes on, but if you're just looking to blow stuff up, why not? You can do worse than this. How are we doing? 17 minutes. 18 minutes now. Alright, moving a little quicker. Myst 3 Exile. I have never played a Myst game. True story. I've never played a Myst game. This will be my first. I checked it out a little bit. I'm guessing I probably should have played on PC because the PS2 version tends to have some performance issues. The video plays at a really slow frame rate, probably about 15 frames a second, maybe 20 if I'm lucky. Yeah, but the music's cool, the characters are cool, that new age feel, it feels like a pure mood CD translated into a game. So if you like that kind of thing, it's a decent pickup, but I probably would recommend it on PC more if you're one of the 8 people, which now no longer includes me, that haven't played a Myst game. Musashi Samurai Legend, which is this guy right here. I have heard mixed things about this game. I always avoided it for some reason, probably because the reviews were never very good. I like the style, I can say that, and the music's kind of neat. But the jury's out on this. I didn't get a chance to play it long enough to really give you a better opinion, other than the fact that I like the style, I like the music, and the action's okay, at least early on. Let's see. Remember how I said I wasn't going to go through all the pickups? I lied. I'm moving right along here. This is MLB 08, the show. So now I have MLB 06, 07, 08, and 09. I might pick up 10 if I can find it somewhere used. These games on the PS2 are as good as baseball gets. I know that there may be some performance issues, and obviously they run better on the PS3, provided you have the 5 to 10 gigabyte limit to be able to install the games. But if you're playing on PS2, they really don't get much better. So I do recommend these if you can find them, if you're a baseball fan. And hey, spring training is in session, so let's go. King of Fighters Maximum Impact, which is like the first King of Fighters game that was in 3D that was built for consoles rather than arcades. Uh, it's okay. The one thing about it that stands out to me is that there's this announcer slash fight organizer guy that always takes about 8 to 10 seconds to tell you who it is you're fighting, and then the screen goes back to loading, and then you show the two characters doing whatever they do, and then there's some more loading, and then the fight starts. Granted, you can skip all of that, but still, it's precious time that kind of wrecks some of the pacing. Game looks good, though, and I like the sound. King of Fighters 2006, which is this guy right here, which is basically Maximum Impact 2, fares a lot better. Still some needless presentation, but nonetheless, I like the way that this game plays and sounds. Karaoke Revolution, I have the other two mainline games in the series, and of course, those of you who don't know, this is a harmonics game. So if you're a harmonics fan and you don't have this, you might want to grab it. Just make sure that you have a USB microphone to take advantage. In the Groove, which is basically Dance Dance Revolution's biggest rival slash competition back in the day, as it were. I like some of the music in this game, but I still have to play it more to be able to evaluate how well it plays and some of the gameplay ideas. Let's see. I know you can't see it because of the price tag, but this is Hot Wheels Stunt Track Challenge here. The Hot Wheels games, I also have Beat That, which is right here. I was hoping these were going to be a little bit better than they are because there was a Hot Wheels game for the PS1 which was just fantastic that EA came out with. And unfortunately, none of the games are like that. Beat That is probably the best of the lot, but that's not saying much. Then again, if you have a young one and they like racing games, you could probably do worse than these. Hard Hitter Tennis, which is an Atlas game of all places. Yeah, aside from maybe collection purposes, just to say you have another Atlas game in your collection, you can probably skip this and be okay with it. Very slow-paced, even slower than most tennis games usually are, and there's not much to keep you coming back. So, yeah, that's that. Next up, and I can put these down now, and I'll try to put these in order, are the two Fullmetal Alchemist games for the PS2. These actually aren't too bad. They're right up my alley in terms of hack and slash action. I know that the first game is a little more tedious than the second game, but still, I like the presentation. I like the music in the background. I like how the action is set up. I like the gameplay. It's not too hard to figure out, and the games are just well presented, and certainly make me interested enough to want to watch the anime if I see it on TV. So those are the Fullmetal Alchemist games. I got those for $5 combined, so you really can't beat that. And I'll show you both of these as well since they're kind of related. This is Driver 3 here, and then Driver Parallel Lines. I had not played a Driver game other than the first game for the original PlayStation, which I thoroughly sucked at. But these were fairly cheap. I heard good things at least about Parallel Lines. The jury's out on these. I will say that visually they look great. Reflections was really good for that. And the vehicle physics were pretty neat, but I still haven't gotten or been able to wrap my head around the out-of-vehicle stuff yet. Trying to be a GTA game is something that I'm not really a big fan of. I think there were enough of those and continue to be enough of those today where they would be much better off if Reflections were still making games like that. And maybe they are with Driver San Francisco. I never played it. But I think these would have been better off just in-car only. But that's just me. Last two. The Bigs 2, right there, and then Alter Echo. Bigs 2 is pretty good, although if you have one of the Generation 7 consoles, the PlayStation 3 or the 360, I do recommend it on that more because of Home Run Pinball and some other extras. But it's still a playable baseball game. And as for Alter Echo, all I can tell you is that it's a generic action game with an interesting style, I guess. So that's it. That's a lot of stuff, and I still have to work all of that back into my drawers, my game drawers, and my binders. So that's going to be a little bit of work. But now I'm up over 1,000 games total. I'm up over 600 PlayStation 2 games, which was my goal. So I'm glad to be there. I'm still on the lookout for some games. And I am going to be putting up an Amazon wish list of stuff that I'm looking and hoping for between my birthday, which is coming up in April, and just things that I'm looking out for as I'm hitting stores locally. Being able to have that wish list on me will help keep my focus, rather than just saying, oh, well, that looks pretty good, and then buying a game that I'm probably not going to play again, which would be unfortunate. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick before I end this video is that I will be back on schedule with videos hopefully next week. I think between this video today and the episode video, I'm going to be taking a breather for the rest of the week. I'm going back to school tomorrow, and I'm still not 100%, but after that, things should be back to normal. I do appreciate, really appreciate you guys sticking with me during this week to week and a half span where I haven't been very active. Between the literal 18 to 24 inches of snow that we received over the last week and a half, as a matter of fact, right now I'm looking outside and it's snowing again as I speak. So between removing all that snow and then dealing with this flu-like bug, which basically took my voice away and has me sounding like my head is crushed, it's been difficult to get in front of the camera and talk to you guys, and it sucked because this is something that I really enjoy doing more than anything, to be honest with you, is getting on camera and talking to you guys, relaying my experiences, memories, sharing my pickups, stuff like that. If I can't do that, I don't feel like I'm doing what I want to do, and that's awful. So I'm hoping, if my voice holds out, to get back in front of the camera on Tuesday, which would be the 25th, according to my calendar here. And then we'll be back on a Tuesday, Thursday schedule with some Pete Plays videos thrown in here and there. What I do want to know from you guys, if you think about it, is let me know what you're thinking of the Pete Plays videos, whether I should keep making them, if you think they have any kind of point at all, if you like the way that I'm doing them. If you do, I'll continue to make them. If they seem kind of pointless, then I might only do them every once in a while just to put them out there. But I'm really curious as to what you guys think and whether you think that they're a good idea. And as always, if you guys have any thoughts on any of the episodes, please feel free to leave comments here on YouTube, or you can send emails to retrounscripted@gmail.com. I'm always checking that account. I'm kind of torn on whether I should submit any of these to Retroware TV or not. I've been on the fence back and forth about it because there are so many great videos that get submitted to those guys that actually do editing and are actually somewhat professional, whereas here I am in front of a GX TV talking to you guys. I don't know whether a much wider audience would be interested. So if you think it's a good idea, let me know. Maybe I just need people to tell me, hey, you should do that, you're dumb, stop it. And I probably will. So let me know what you think. Any kind of comments would help. Hopefully my microphone work has been better, although today it's a little tough because I'm not able to hold the microphone closer. Usually what you can't see because of the limited scope of the camera is I actually have a microphone like just off camera here that I'm kind of holding up, so it's close to my face. But obviously when I'm using my hands to show you guys stuff, I have to put the microphone down on a stand to my left, and sometimes it doesn't pick up sound as well as I want it to. So that kind of limits what it is that I can do, at least until I can get a decent microphone stand that I can put off to my left and have the microphone next to me where it's just off camera. So I'm working on that. But I mean, any other feedback you guys have, if you love it, great. If you think that there are things that I should add, that's great. If there are games that you want me to cover, games that you want me to talk about, or topics that you want me to talk about, that's great too. All of that feedback will help me make a show or a video series that you guys are more interested in watching, rather than me just kind of going on about what I think you guys want to hear about or want me to talk about. Having a little bit of direction other than my crazy mind, which wanders here and there all the time, would be most beneficial. So that's it from here. A 30-minute video from me. I'm sure that you saw about 33 minutes more than you wanted to, but I'm glad that you guys stuck around. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon, and thanks for watching Retro Unscripted, you guys. I really appreciate it. Until next time, take care.